What's up, everyone? I'm Musty Hobbit, and there's nothing that a hobbit loves more than another episode of Second Breakfast. So welcome back. I have a topic that I will be getting to that was provided by one of my viewers, and we will hit that in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about what I did over my Memorial Day weekend. We were lucky enough that my mother-in-law decided to take my son for the weekend. They were doing a lot of yard work, and I think they had like a truckload of mulch. Loved it, had a blast. So he was gone for Saturday and all of Sunday of this Memorial Day weekend, which was a nice little break. The biggest thing that we were looking forward to doing was on Sunday. Our friend turned 35. And she decided, since we have a lot of these sort of microbreweries coming up in the area, we were going to take a party bus around to some in the immediate areas. And I think we had 5 or 6 different breweries, which was great. We spent about 45 minutes to an hour at each location, but it was a lot of fun. It was good to see some old friends who we either just don't have the opportunity to see as much. A lot of them I used to work with. It was really nice to get to just sort of catch up with all of them and go and see and taste some really nice beers. We didn't do a whole lot for Memorial Day itself. We kind of were in recovery mode, as I think one would expect. I watched the movie Arrival, which, if you haven't watched that movie, very, very good. I would highly encourage you to go check that out. That is one that was high on my radar. I had heard people talking about it quite a bit, and I just hadn't had a chance to spend the time to actually watch it. So we watched that, and we spent a lot of our time sort of watching old episodes of Parks and Rec, watched a few episodes of The Office. It was nice to just unwind and just watch some stuff that we used to religiously watch those shows, and they are incredibly good. Both are on Netflix, the entire run. So the things I've been playing, and this will lead me into a couple of other points here. I finished up Perfect Dark. I played co-op with P1 from the Cartridge Bros. And the reason we were playing Perfect Dark is because it was the May Game of the Month. And so I actually, on Saturday, recorded a podcast. I was guested on the podcast for that Game of the Month. So it was me, both P1 and P2, Rob from Bonus Barrel, which is another podcast I listen to, and then our special guest, which is probably one of the biggest guests that we've had on the show, is Brandon Jones. And if you're familiar with Game Trailers, GameTrailers.com, he is the founder of that former website. Now, he and the entire group have moved on, and now they have formed what they call Easy Allies. And I do listen to them from time to time, but it was great to get to talk to him. He absolutely adores that game as much as I do. It was a really good conversation, and the podcast just got released on Wednesday. So I would encourage you to go to cartridgeclub.org or wherever you may listen to your podcast. Go find it. It's a really good episode. I highly encourage you to check it out. I picked up Quantum Break for the Xbox One, started playing that. That game, I'm intrigued. I'm through the first act. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, but the blend of the TV show with the gameplay is actually kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to where that will take me. I will keep plugging away at that. It is June now, so we have not one but 2 games of the month coming up. One of them being Final Fantasy 4 or 2 if you play the Super Nintendo. I'm playing that on my PSP, and then I just got a copy of Donkey Kong that I am playing for the CC Portable, which is the new secondary show that we're going to have running concurrently with the main podcast for the Cartridge Club, and that is hosted by Curtis from Girlfriend Versus. Go look up Girlfriend Versus. If you have not seen his channel or know about his videos, you need to go check it out. You need to get that in your brain as fast as you can. But yeah, they're playing Donkey Kong on the Game Boy. And then aside from that, I've been playing, like I said, I've been playing a little bit of Overwatch. The event is going on, so there's some additional skins and things that are up in the loot boxes. So I'm playing that. They're announcing new maps and things coming out too. It seems like they're really trying to move on some stuff. Hopefully we get maybe a new character or something sometime soon. Maybe, please. So let's get to the topic of conversation. I asked for questions last week, and I actually got one. So I want to thank Caleb J. Ross. Caleb, I have recently come across his videos. He came across the Cartridge Club not too long ago, and I think he's kind of taking the world by storm here. I really like his content. I really like the format of his videos, so I do want to give him a pseudo shout out here. He does these quick reviews that he does immediately after he finishes a game, but he also does a series called Hey Future Caleb, where he actually sends a message to himself 50 years in the future to sort of ask if something that's going on now is still relevant, or if things that it's a nice way to have commentary on what's going on now, but looking at it from a future perspective. And I really enjoy both of those styles of videos. I hope he keeps doing them. But he posed a question for me, and so I'm going to use this as my topic for today. The question being, why did I choose Xbox over PlayStation? I've echoed in the past that, you know, I've been an Xbox guy. I said so last week, I've said the week before. I have the original, I have the 360, I have an Xbox One, and I haven't gone PS3 or PS4, but I did have a PS2. So we kind of go into story time here a little bit, so settle in, but hopefully this won't go too long. To start, when I moved out here to Iowa, I'm originally from the Chicago suburbs, but I came out here with no game consoles. I basically liquidated everything, so I didn't have anything going for me at that point. I ended up getting a PS2, mainly for Final Fantasy X, because I had seen some friends play it, and it was just awe-inspiring, and I had to have that game. Makes sense. I like Final Fantasy. That's a known for me. So I think that was a foregone conclusion. Started working at the place I was working, and I ended up befriending Brad. Brad ended up being the best man at my wedding. Brad has very similar interests to me, and Brad had an Xbox, an original Xbox, and so there were lots of things that he was telling me about, and then he would have me over, and we would look at some of these games that are out, and some of the big ones were things like Halo, obviously. Halo was, after Perfect Dark, Halo, came out about a year and a half later. That was kind of the big eye-opener for me, like what that game could do and how the co-op could run on this system like this. Halo was really something, and that's why I have the collection that I do for Halo now, is because that series means a lot to me. But that's not the reason that I went Xbox. But some of the other things that he showed me were KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. I adore Star Wars, and that was kind of that perfect blend of effectively a D20 RPG in video form that told a story in the Star Wars franchise, in the Star Wars universe, but had no connection to the current movies that were going on at the time. I think Attack of the Clones had just recently come out at that point. But then he also showed me Morrowind, and again, sprawling open world RPG. Like, these things were experiences that I was never used to having on any of the consoles that I owned. And it really kind of sold me, and I really kind of absorbed the Xbox library. So Christmas of 2002, I ended up getting an original Xbox with a copy of Clone Wars and Tetris Worlds. It was the combo disc. I was really, really happy with that. I still had my PS2. I still played my PS2. And from that point, I actually ended up still going on to get a GameCube as well. So for a while there, I had all three. And then 2005 rolls around. We're talking about new consoles. It would have been the people were talking about the Xbox 2 and what was coming next. And I remember there was the reveal of what then became the Xbox 360 was profound. Like, MTV had a whole special on it that Elijah Wood hosted. And the reason I know these things is because when Caleb asked this question, I was like, why did I pick 360 over PS3? Like, what was it? So I went back and watched that reveal. I watched the press conference, or the press briefing at E3 for both Microsoft and Sony. And I wanted to see what it was that grabbed me. And I think it was the promise of a few things. The online functionality was very interesting, and the fact that I had friends who were Xbox friends I didn't yet have Xbox Live. I didn't get Live until I got 360, but I knew that they would be there shortly, if not right at launch as well. So I knew that I would have this friend base to go off of there. There was a promise of Halo 3. We knew that based off of how Halo 2 ended, that there was going to be a third installment, and I didn't want to leave that story hanging. But I think the biggest thing that sold me on the 360 was Oblivion. So Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It's going to be a launch window game, and by launch window they usually mean a couple months within the date of launch. And they were relatively close. I think it ended up coming out in like February. It was originally supposed to be ready at launch. But the reveal trailer for Oblivion was at the Microsoft press conference. And that, along with the sequel to Perfect Dark, Project Gotham Racing 3, like the launch lineup I really dug for the 360. Now, PS3 on the other hand, what they showed at E3 that year, I'm looking at this through a different lens because I'm so used to presentations now being all this glitz and lights and smoke and mirrors and all of that, and the stuff that I saw from Sony just didn't inspire me. There's the notorious Killzone trailer, which we ended up finding was pre-rendered. One of the interesting things was that Neo, which is now a game that is on PS4, was announced at that 2005 press conference as a game that was coming on the PS3. It was just kind of interesting looking back, and really kind of got me excited again for E3 here. Jump ahead a few years, right? I've gone through my time with the 360. I red ringed twice and stuck with it and had them repair it. I learned how to do the towel trick, which works and it's dangerous. Don't do it. Jump ahead to the most recent big console war of the Xbox One versus the PS4. And to me, at that point, I did not yet have a child. I've talked about why I'm no longer an early adopter, so you kind of know this story, but at that point, I still wanted the biggest and the newest and the shiniest objects possible, and so a launch console is what I wanted, and everything made sense for me to go from 360 to Xbox, and then I had assumed that a lot of my friends would come with, and they just didn't, because they were in a different place than I was, and they maybe didn't have expendable income at that point to put toward a new console, and so that kind of has led me to where I'm at. Now, I want to get a PS3. I wouldn't mind getting a PS4, but I'm kind of in that waiting game right now on what that next console is going to be. I've toyed with the idea of picking up a 3DS because that's an entire library I've never played. In fact, I think I've held a 3DS one time at Portland last year. And so I'm intrigued. I don't know what direction I'm going to take that, but I would like to. I don't despise any console. A lot of people felt coming out of that Xbox One PS4 launch war, if you want to call it that, that you had to be on one side or the other. Eventually, I'd like to just be on both, but I don't despise people who have PS4s. I am kind of jealous that they get some great games that Xbox doesn't, and they do have a lot of exclusives, and the fact that a lot of these indie games and things like that all gravitate toward PlayStation is great for them, and someday I'll get a chance to experience those things. But so Caleb, I hope I answered the question that you were looking for, but that's a lot of it. Friends, games, and just at the time a library were really the reasons that kind of pulled me toward the Xbox. So I'm gonna stop there. I actually bring up E3, and it's actually a really exciting time. E3 is coming up in a week and a half. It's on us like just kind of crept up on us. It'll be here any day now. And what I want you to do, and what I would encourage you to do, is to subscribe to this channel. We are going to have nightly recaps of each of the days worth of presentations, reveals, and all of that. We'll be putting that all together, cutting in some clips and videos of those gameplay reveals and things like that. So stick around, and I will be broadcasting as much of that as I can as that comes. But we'll be doing something Sunday night, Monday night, and then Tuesday early evening to kind of highlight the entire E3 extravaganza that it is. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that this can either become a regular thing. I'd really like to just get to E3 next year as press. That would be cool. Again, thank you for coming by. Second Breakfast is something that I'm going to be putting out every Thursday. I am going to start mixing in some other videos, just so you know that there's other stuff in the pipeline, but I'm not going to tell you what just yet. Leave me a question in the comments if you have any, and I will be happy to answer those in future episodes, or you can reach to me on Twitter at Musty Hobbit, and you can leave the question with the hashtag #ToBeAnswers, and I'll be happy to answer those, as I said, in a future episode. But for now, please like the video if you did, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Apparently, I look at my subscription list, like I see what's coming in every day. Apparently some people don't like to do that and prefer to get email notifications or push notifications on their phone. So if you are that type of person and you want to know when I have new things out, aside from Thursday, which is when Second Breakfast comes out, go ahead and hit that notification bell and you will get notified of that. And then when I do live stream, or when I do have these E3 moments, you'll get the indication of when those things have gone live. Thank you for coming by. I have been Musty, and this has been Second Breakfast. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Bye.